we're a little bit delayed because everybody knows that they saw this thing in person, and it takes me 55 minutes. One of the things I will share with you is that this is being recorded. Also, roll is being taken by my counterpart, the infamous Melissa Knight. So we got 170 participants. I think that's good. I think it's bad because you couldn't make it, but I think it's good because you're making it tonight. And I appreciate that. And so we're delayed in starting 10 minutes, but I'm not going to deal with chats because I'm going to focus on this. So don't, if you ask me a question, I will be focused on this right now. I'm not able to multitask this. I do want to welcome you to the NCHSAA in the NFHS rules session. Some of you were not fortunate to make it because you were doing other things, and I appreciate you people that do volleyball and soccer, and now you're getting ready to throw your hat in the ring for basketball. We've had great turnout this year. I want to commend the regional supervisors for the great work that they've done, and I need you to follow their lead. A couple of things I'll go over before I start. If you did the concussion test last year, you will be rolled over to this year. Right now, the exam is in progress, and probably by now, your regional supervisor has shared with you that the exam has been extended to November the 21st. I felt like that was the right thing to do because we got people still wanting to do this, and that's a good thing. And you guys are still recruiting. That's a good thing. And I'm very appreciative of that. I urge you people that are taking the exam, you're learning this stuff, you're trying to get in there, work in teams. I don't want to try to be deface any regional supervisor, but if I were to call Roy Turner, Dave Brown, or Nate Walker, Art Harden, all you guys are out there. Greg Fogelman, you guys are working hard to recruit, and we're very appreciative of that. We've got a lot getting ready to go on, and we appreciate you stepping it up. One of the things I shared in the original Zoom, the original floor show, was that we talk about the culture and the expectations. We want to raise the expectations. Two things that have hit me today that I want to share right now. It's not even written on my card here. People said, what about facial hair? I am not touching the facial hair this year. I want you to be neatly groomed. What if a person has a facial issue? Some people get razor bumps or whatever the case may be. But as long as you're neat and you're a regional supervisor, but you follow your regional supervisor's suit, whatever they ask of you, you do what they ask of you. And that's the way it rolls. Make sure we depend on our mentors. If you have a bad night, call your mentor. And mentees, call your mentor. Mentors, call mentees. See how they're doing during the year. And share the good news. We're going to work hard to support as much as we can do out there. I have been getting around. I was at a clinic yesterday. I went to one yesterday in Greensboro. Obviously, it's close to me, but I will be traveling. My boss lady gave me permission. I can travel some. Whether they let me use the company car or not, I'm going to travel. I want to see you guys. Not to be out there to say, hey, you're doing something. It's about showing you the support that you need. So some of the slides you'll see me work through because they're not relevant as much as we need to talk about the ones that are relevant. I don't know why this is not working on me. There we go. So let's go back. You'll see we're at the NFHS rules, and I'll get to the school. One One of the things I share with people, you will not find the word game management in the rule book. I just shared an email today with 5 people, excuse me, six people today, and 5 of them were a crew that worked a football game Friday night. And I saw some of the best games. It was amazing. Um, these people had a tough game. A kid had a catastrophic injury. So obviously players get a little emotional, fans get emotional, and they manage that game all the way to the end with an overtime being involved. That's game management. That mean things that can happen, they could happen, and they were trying to happen, and you saw them manage the game. And that's one of the things that you get that under your belt, you're going to be fine. So learn to manage the game and learn that from your mentors and your leaders. The NFL rule app has already been sent up to the central, the main office to start getting that out to you. I share that picture here because I want people to focus on the finger. As you're talking to a coach, it's got to be very brief. And I'm talking about a veteran official should not be even putting their hands up. And he's a veteran, because if the finger touches him, the whole conversation changes about you touch me versus what the situation was. I talked about not mirroring, active listening. Just learn to listen. You're going to hear in my presentation that I had several people to approach me for one of the slides in here because they thought it was a pretty good slide. And it really amazed me that many people wanted to look at that slide, see that slide and say, wow, this is pretty interesting. And I really believe that it might help some of our young officials because we need to grow you. We have to grow you. I had a young man send me an email today. He was upset because he didn't get a game or whatever. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe he's not ready. You have to trust your regional supervisors. But I go back to this active listening here. You can be an active listener to your regional supervisor, but on the court, know when you need to listen and know when you got to move on. Basketball moves on. Know where you need to stand when you got free throws because they're going to try to get in your ear. I shared this photo here because I said when time allows, address questions, not statements. Young people tend to, or young officials or novice officials fall into the statements. That's not a foul. Well, that's a statement. But if you fall into that, that's not a question. Only focus on the questions, but mostly focus on the court. Focus on the court. Avoid the distractions because your game's got to move. Notice it says management is a short-term crisis of problems and deal with the important and the urgent. When you got to go to the scores table, you just take your time. Is it urgent? No. Get it right. And then your focus is a strategy because you got to be there for a few minutes in that game and avoid distraction. I used the definition when I used to teach umpiring. Concentration is the ability to think of nothing. Concentration is the ability to think of nothing. So focus on those things and just eliminate the distractions. Don't be afraid to smile at the appropriate time. Now, understand what I just said, at the appropriate time. Some people go, well, you said to smile. Well, that doesn't mean smile at somebody when they're injured or smile at somebody when a technical happened or whatever. It just means let them know you're human at the right time. Veteran officials can do this. Setting the tone. Let them know you're human. Look at all three of those officials setting the tone. That's before the game. There's a smile, whatever. We're going out to work. But you know, as soon as that ball goes up in the air, there's a different focus of 3 teams. The best team on the court has to be you. So with that being said, set a tone, a positive tone. In the pregame meeting, that thing should happen before the days before, meaning that communicate with your crew, maybe ride together. It's imperative that the senior crew take the lead. However, everyone else is a part of that team because the senior official's not going to preach, they're just going to speak. I value these 3 C's of Larry Davis, a great official that used to be in the Triad area that's moved to the Charlotte area. If you concentrate and be consistent and communicate, that's a full job. You ask Dave Brown, an ACC official, if he goes out and use those 3 things while working an ACC baseball game, that's a whole lot. And we've got to learn to concentrate and quit worrying about what's up in the stands, which I said on a previous slide. Let's focus. I want the referee to write the game day administrator name in the scores book. I remember we had a Zoom last week, and the regional supervisor was asking me, could we do this? And I couldn't communicate. My computer wouldn't convey to them. Could we ask the school to put it on the Dragonfly? They can do that. They can do that, but I'm not gonna put that as a major requirement yet because I might have to get board approved. I don't know, but I don't want to do that right now. And I'm still trying to get you where you can go out and work a game and just know that if it comes up, you already got the person's name in the scorebook. In the pregame, be positive and emphatic with sportsmanship and sporting behavior of the players. Pregame, express the responsibility of the coaches. In the pregame, make sure you know that you talk with the administrator, that you may have talked with him when you come in. And if you walk in, now someone misinterpreted me. Notice it said SRO if possible. It did not say you're required to get them. But if you can talk with them and say, hey, man, hey, young lady, we got a big one here. I remember last year I was involved in the game in Lexington and Thomasville, a very emphatic game. They were there. They were there. Plus, I had a heck of an AD, Ronnie Beverly. And remember, we do not talk to fans. Go back to one of the previous slides. If we focus on what's going on the court, we're not focusing on what the fans are saying. And there'll be some other things I'll share with you as we continue. I put in this slide here, and to me, someone asked for this slide. They said, wow, that's a pretty good slide. Good officials can officiate the black and white, but the great officials officiate the gray. And so when you get to the point you officiate that gray, what's important in that gray area? When that foul, when handling, when managing, that's when you're there. So learn to merge yourself from the black and white, which is a shirts we used to wear, that now we're in the gray. And now we're going to be able to manage the game. Again, manage the game, and you're going to be fine. Very important things I said in this one here about being fit, dress the part, be professional, know the rules, know how the rules apply. That goes back with game management. You can be the greatest rules person in the world, but if you do not know how to manage the game, that just goes out the door. You can be the greatest rules person in the world, but if you don't know how to communicate, we have a problem. Know your clock. Look at me again, re-emphasizing, stay out of the crowds, speak with the game side administrator, coaches, and your SRO if possible of the responsibility of the crowd. Remember, officials, please listen to me. You're not to inform coaches of how many games if a player is ejected. We don't do that. We just go ahead and do our job. After the game, we don't do it. Chain of command. If there's an issue, officials submit an incident to the regional supervisor in an email or phone call. Those are the 2 ways, not on Dragonfly. Only ejections are entered on Dragonfly. No ejections are overturned by the NCHSAA. The regional supervisor and the official changes the ejection. And the NCAA would look at a video and see who left the bench and say, oh, it wasn't number 15, it was number 5. That's how we can use video to help us in that. But again, you are on the court, you were there. So the NCHSAA, proud of me taking the keys to the office I'm in, did not overturn my ejections. Why should I do something different? Mark did a great job of this, and I'm not going to change it. This is a slide I shared with them, and people keep asking me, and I keep finding as I ride down the road, there are more that you can do. But if you keep your comments to 5 to 7 words or less, you can stay out of the sticky weeds. There's an official named Dave Brown. There's an official name Art Harden. There's an official name Mike Webster, who does football. There's an official name Albert Lasser, who does football. There's an official name Scott Fagler. These people can go beyond 7 words. They got some dirt under their cleats. But I understand, but I share with you. If you use those, I hear you, coach. Let us get with you, coach. We are here to serve you, coach. Keep it to 5 to 7 words or less, and do not go into a dissertation. Remember what I said earlier. We're only going to address questions. That's the best way to handle that. Only is a powerful word. So yeah, they may say something, but just keep that in your mind. And also remember, these may help you, but are not guarantees. But remember, it's in your tone of how you say it. We'll work harder, coach. Let us work harder. One of the things that I wanted to do, and I was thinking wrestling and I was thinking basketball in this, so the word I should change to we when we're talking to the coach. We will, we didn't see it that way, coach, because we hear you, coach. That's what that pronoun should change for this crew. But as I worked wrestling, it was an I. So again, try to keep your comments down to that, and that'll help you a lot. As we talk about rule changes, those of you that have worked volleyball, and you're going to see this throughout all the sport, most of the sports this year, about the hair. So if you look in the play pick in the first one and the second one, play pick on the left and your center, those are good. I got 3, 4 little bobby pins versus 1 little clip. And then on the right, there's that big clip. That's no good. Now, I won't be reading to you. I'll be going through this. Notice that those are the ones that are legal. Those are legal. Notice that A and C are the ones we're going to talk about. A and C. A and C are not fastened close to the head, and so we have a problem there. So therefore, if they are fastened close to the head and do not increase a risk to the player, like in B and D, B as in boy, D as in dog, we're okay. Where it says non-compliant versus non-compliant and non-compliant, A is non-compliant, C is non-compliant. And let's clear this up. If in B or C, B or D, if the hair were to come, something were to pop loose, we're going to send the teams to the bench, give them a freebie, let them get it cleaned up. We're not causing any timeout. Remember, do not show any emotion on your face. No one's getting hurt. We just clean it up. It's not a foul. It's not a technical foul. It's nothing. It's an official's timeout. The one I've been waiting for has come out, and A is the one. I've been waiting for that point guard to have those long tassels and then whip that head real quickly and put a person's eye out. So again, in B, which goes back to the previous slide, as in B and D, fastened closely to the head. This one here, B, is fastened tight. In A, it's loose fitting. Let's go ahead and cover it now. That, and you'll see a slide later on, but I'm going to share it with you now. This cannot even be done in warm-ups. This cannot be done in warm-ups. The way they are going to play is the way they take the court, the same as the shirt tails are in. We got that clasp up top, if you want to call it, or the headband that still requires whatever. However, in B and C, we're legal. They are compliant. No jewelry, no jewelry. If you see the Band-Aid, get with the coach, get with the trainer, have them to remove it. If you see an earring, they can play, but they're going to be playing in another gym, not that gym you're in that night. That is illegal. It is not permitted. Jewelry is not permitted. There is not an earring in the ear. If you see one in the tongue, you just say, Coach, I asked you earlier, were they properly and legally equipped? She is not. She needs to get off the court. I'm going to skip over the shot clock violations because we don't have that issue at this time. Or I shouldn't say issue, but we don't have shot clocks. So we're not going to share any time on that right at the moment. The referee shall not permit any team member to participate if in the judgment that any item constitutes safety concern. That basically is just saying, if you see something that is a safety concern, we're going to get with the coach. Notice what I said, get with the coach and let's take care of it. Let's take care of it. And then in 419-4, if a technical, it is a dead ball contact or non-contact conduct at any time. And so I would say refer to your rule book on that to get more concrete on that. The jump ball begins when the ball leaves the official's hand or hands, and it ends when it touches the ball touches or contacts a non-jumper, an official, or the floor, not the basket or backboard. I don't know how it really does that now since we do everything in the center. When the alternating possession procedure has not been established, the jump ball shall be in the center of the restraining circle. It's between the two players that were in the previous action. So basically, if we have it, we throw it up at the beginning of the game and we get a tie up again, it's going to go back to the previous action. The previous action. I'm not going to worry about jerseys because that's something for coaches really, and it becomes in 2024, 25, so we'll move to that. Point of emphasis. I talked about this in the clinic, so you need to focus with me because I will jump a little bit. Go down to the last one. A foul or violation in the first quarter is expected to be a foul or violation in the last minute or contest. Do it. Do it. Go to the second bullet. When an official allows their personal philosophies to enter into the enforcement of the rules, we have messed up. When you get into the locker room and say, well, this is what I think versus what the rule is, we have now usurped the rules. It is incumbent, bullet number 3, it is incumbent contest officials to enforce the rules as written. That's why the NFHS, if you look at the bottom left, a lot of these slides, except for the ones I was talking about, some things of how we need to carry ourselves and expectations, but the NFHS is on the bottom of these slides. And those are the ones that are saying this is what we need to do for all our student athletes. Participants should expect nothing less from the contest officials on a nightly basis. And we've got to enforce all playing rules should they be without regard to time or circumstances. We know that sometimes things are done differently. As it said in the last bullet, that we do things differently in that last minute. We need to call it consistently. And if you started out the first way and you keep it that way, you're going to be okay. To maintain the contradiction of all sports and encourage sportsmanship, minimizing hurt, inherent risk of injury, playing rules are developed to serve in the varying skills to involve all participants. Basically, that all that's saying is there's one sport that really means wrestling. That means it levels the playing field for all athletes. Wrestlers, you wrestle 135 versus 135. In basketball, what they're saying right there, varying the skill levels involved all participants. We are there to make sure we level the playing field and encourage the sportsmanship and minimize the inherent risk of injury. If this one right here, reducing illegal contact. If you do this in the first 1, 3, 5 minutes, and you guys and ladies know, you officials know, the first 4 minutes of the game, and the first 4, turn your mic off. Jamil Jackson, if you would please look at the first 4 minutes of the first quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter and do your job. The two hands on the player, call it by the book. The extended armbar, call it by the book. You will really see a dangerous play when the little guy watches the big guy blows by him, and then they stick that forearm in their back and they fly right through and hit the pad. The C has got to see that. So we've got to look at this as safety, and it's a foul. Placing and keeping the arm on the hand on the opponent, you can't do it. You've got NFHS, bottom left, is telling you what to back you. Simple principles in mind are critical for officials and need to be ruled when they occur. I shared when I was at the road shows, there's one school that in my area where I live here, and I've officiated their games, you have to watch the C. And it says down here, player, the first bullet, players who either illegally carve out a space for themselves. They love to take that elbow and hook around. That's showing you that. Or the defender repeatedly pushing the knee, like in play pick B. Or even in A. If he's trying to drive that knee up his boom boom, we've got to call it. C, make the call. Failure to address the illegal contact leads to more physical play. You've got to put a whistle on it. If you do it, you can clean it up real quickly, regardless of the player's location on the floor and the rhythm and the speed, the balance, the quickness. If it impedes and a foul has occurred. This one here is a great one here to follow up what I just said. If we are doing what we're supposed to, like I'm supposed to focus on the C, even though the ball is somewhere else, because a lot of action happens in that C area. Notice the ball's down in the low post, but you got the C's got action up top. You cannot be ball watching. You cannot be ball watching. You got to see several things. It's the same thing in football. When you got 4 flags on a play, we got too much ball watching. Officials who tend to ball watch will miss the screening play in the front of them that will involve illegal contact. And I think over the years, we've really tried to improve and get that information out to us when I was out there, that you see those screens up top, and if they're not set, bang them, bang them. Hit that foul, let's go the other way. We're not shooting on that. We're not shooting on that. When either the offense or defense are allowed to play outside the screening and defending the rules, off ball, more physical and illegal. And that's where we get into situations, because if I'm supposed to be focused in another area and I got another partner, as I was in the clinic yesterday, they said, trust your partner. trust your partner, and you're going to be fine. Pre-game meeting, addressing illegal uniforms. One thing I do not agree with in this picture, the one thing I do not agree with in this picture is that the official is talking to the coach possibly about their number two around the other coach. We're only going to address a player or players to that coach in away from the other team. So if you see the picture with the girl with the long hair or the boy with the long hair and it's not secured, you're going to go over and get the coach, have the player to come over and take care of it. Do not really try to address that player alone because nothing really good can come out of it. He or she is hyped up, ready to go. And then you get them that you mess up their psyche. They're going to put on a show. You may have a pregame technical. Before the game, before and after the pregame verification, officials should monitor the players and notify the head coach if they notice anything that needs to be addressed, including the color uniforms, blah, blah, blah. So make sure we do those things. If we take care of those things, our game will go smoothly. In wrestling, we're required to have a pregame meet. We go in the dressing room and talk to the teams before they take the mat. They know my expectations. They know my cues. And I'd love to maybe see that happen in basketball. Then you don't do it out in front of everybody. That's just the food for thought. There's the one again, the pregame meeting. He's addressing her for addressing the coach about it. Now she is talking to the coach. She's not talking to the player. But that player should not even be on the court. That coach should get that player over there. So we need to make sure we take care of this right now. In the last three lines says, pay attention to these details in pregame will set the tone for the contest. As I always say, when you take the court, you are on duty. You are on duty till you get back in that dressing room. Even at a timeout, you are on duty. The NFHS rules are written to encourage the sportsmanship participation of these programs that should promote the respect and integrity and sportsmanship. And we know that this stuff has been slipping. And we've got to do our part on the court and our conversation with the game side administrator. We and the coaches at the pregame, we hope that we can make sure, and we do a pregame with the players, we can make things go better. We would hope to make them go better. There must be a collaborative working relationship between the contest official, game administrator to promote the good sportsmanship. And everyone has their roles to play. We have a role. The coaches have a role. The game side administrator has a role. The players have a role. So let's make sure we put everyone responsible. Sportsmanship. I told you to stay out of the crowd. It says the contest should never engage the spectator. But when that person crosses those 3 P's, where they cross the professional line, basically they get personal or they use profanity, we will not go to that person. We will go to we can go to the scores table. We have the officials go to their respective position. My partners go to their respective position and go to the scores table. Ask the scores table to have the game side administrator, have the game side administrator say, look, the guy in the orange shirt, he needs to go. Don't make a big scene of it. Don't make it like a perp walk. Don't stare at them. But if they want to make a scene, let it be on them. It's not us staring at them because it's all about the game. Sometimes we say it's about the players. The players are involved, the officials involved, the coaches involved, the fans, but it's about the game. The school administrators are responsible for this unruly spectator. And so we're going to do our job in the way we can handle that. Again, good sportsmanship wins with humility, lose with grace, and both with dignity. And it takes all of us to do it every day. And if the coaches are doing their job in practice, we got a better job to make it happen. We have a good pregame, we're going to make it happen. We talk the right way to players, 5 to 7 words or less. If we're talking to a player, we're going to be fine. Every coach saw this. It says, in closing, let's consider the expectations in sportsmanship. You all have heard of the decline of officials in all sports. It is not just in North Carolina, it's a pandemic. What can you do? Coach your players. Too often, coaches spend more time coaching officials instead of their players. I realize my words will not change everyone, but consider talking to officials instead of yelling at them because the players will follow your lead. Take care of your players' behavior and language. Consider coaching and mentoring your JV coaches since they are not required to complete this tutorial. You are responsible for your bench personnel. All of these are your responsibilities. Lastly, please understand this office does not overturn ejections. You can have your AD to contact the regional supervisor, and he or she will assist you before calling the NCHSAA. And it said, have a great season. This is for you. Have a great season. We appreciate what you do on a daily basis in education-based athletics for NCHSAA athletes. A few things as I close up. You still have a warning in your pocket. You don't have to give a technical. So you walk over to the table while the partners are out there and you say, hey, this coach, the visiting coach, head coach has a warning at 4 minutes and 32 seconds in the third quarter. Then you make sure your players know. Don't yell it to your players, because if you do, you're going to infuriate the coach and you're probably going to get him right then and there. When you have an issue that warrants the NCHSAA to be notified, again, contacted. If it's hot, you should notify your regional supervisor and NCHS office, but not Melissa. Example, game administrator or the school personnel assisting you to your dress room if necessary. I need to know those things. I need to know if they're addressing, if they are making sure you get to your dressing room. And this is in the handbook. It's a requirement that they're to make sure you're getting to your dressing room or everything's okay. We're trying to improve the things for you. I saw something last week on 2 weeks ago. We've got to make sure we improve it for you guys, you ladies. Thank you for what you do in the mission field. Now, I've done my show. I'm going to stop sharing. And I will address a few questions if there are any, and I don't mean that in a mean way, like a few questions like I don't want to talk to you, but let me make this big. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the good of the cause?
I do. Hi, Cecil. This is Bobby Terrain. How are you? Thank
Hello,
you for
ma'am.
this session. If they, back in the day, they'll say earrings, they got their ears pierced and they wanted to tape their ears. What about those hair jewelry? Are we going to still allow if the coach says, hey, let me tape it?
No.
Okay.
Because your insurance policy won't pay enough for it.
Okay.
That's why I said, if you see Band-Aid, you have the right to ask the player to come to the bench with the coach or the trainer. And if you suspect and they see it, they can play in the auxiliary gym, but they won't play in your gym that night.
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else? And again, I'm not looking at chats because I've got too much going on. It's okay. I got one person said, Mike isn't working. How should we cross talk the address between opponents? It's nothing new. You take care of it as the official. Now, so I want to put it this way. If you got crosstalk, and I will share this with you, a great question. But last year I had players fussing at themselves to the point to the teammates that the language was getting close. I had an official's timeout and I took them to the bench. And I said, coaches, this is my timeout. And one of your players is something's going to happen because they're going off on each other to the point that they're going to put themselves in a predicament. They appreciated that. We have not changed crosstalk. You are a game manager. You're a game manager. In your pregame meet, you told them white talks to white, gray, black talks to black, blue talks to blue, and manage that. What if they ask to bandage the hair jewelry? No, listen, let me help you out again. The only jewelry that is permissible is religious reasons or health. If they have a possibility of being an epileptic and they have to wear that taped on their chest, that's legal. So I want you to get rid of the what ifs. No, no, no. Do not put yourself in that position. I want to make it easy for you. Because as soon as you get into what ifs, you get yourself in trouble. And do not say this. Well, I was working with Dave Brown the other night, and he let no, David didn't. Dave is in Colorado, so don't even try that. I've said to people, don't even try that. You know, so it's really cute that they try to do that to us. And then once we do that, go back to the focus of the game. Because too many times when we have this stuff, we lose focus on what's most important, the GAME, the game. Any more questions?
Last one. Are there any of the rules? Yes.
Where are you
Yes,
from?
sir.
Where are you from?
I'm from Denver, North Carolina. I went to East Lincoln High School.
Okay. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. About yourself?
All right. Talk to me.
All right. So my last question was, are there any rules or restrictions that are different for private schools versus public schools?
I'm not in the private sector, so that's hard for me to handle. But there is a private school. There are several private schools that we handle, like Greensboro Day, and they work under the NFHS rule book. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. So
okay.
You're saying there's just a different be aware before going into games like that.
And look, talk with your crew chief. Talk to your game day. I mean, talk to your crew chief and everything. If they do something different, it might be about a clock timing where they say, look, we'd only play this many minutes. If they say they're going to play this many minutes and they're shortening the game, don't you fight it. Don't you fight it.
No, I'm with you. Yes. I appreciate it, though.
Yes. Anyone else?
Hey, Mr. Cecil.
Yes. How you doing, Trevor?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Travis, excuse me.
Always glad to see you, Mr. Cecil. You asked the question I had. I was a lead official with some 2 seniors last year. I was leading the lead official, and like you just spoke about, had 2 kids on the bench start fussing on the same bench, and the point guard hadn't come across half court yet, so I blew the whistle, stopped the game, because we always talk about the best management is we try to avoid things first. And I went to the coach and I said, hey man, these kids are down the bench, they're cussing and fussing, they're about to get ready to throw blows. So at halftime, me and the other 2 officials go to the bench, and one of the senior officials jumped my tail. Man, don't you ever blow a whistle like that unless you call a technical foul or you call making a play, making a call or something like that. And I told him, I said, I thought us as officials, the best officiating was preventative officiating. It wasn't a fast break. The kid hadn't come across the floor. And the coach thanked me, and he those two young men had been battling, going back and forth at practice and at school the last couple of weeks, and had got into altercation. So he was glad that I had stopped that game. And the other official that hadn't jumped my tail, he said, "Travis, you did the exact what I would have done," because he was in the C. He said if they started fussing.
So let's leave the other official out. Let's look at this as game management.
Correct.
One of the things I see that you could have done differently. I
Mhm.
didn't say you were wrong, so make sure you hear this. I didn't say you were wrong. What you could have done is got yourself halfway up the court and turn that shoulder. Say, Coach, walk up here with me. You got some guys down there you need to take care of, and keep the game going.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Could. Now again, I was not there, and now we learned from that. We can sit here and talk about the ifs and buts and whatever. I'm just giving you another scenario, and we move from there. Okay?
Great.
I see a hand up, because I'm going to take 1 to 2 more questions. I'm going to shut it down because I have made good time. 45 minutes right now. Anyone else? So without me sounding rude, I want to say thank you. You can call me, but this is one thing I want to share with you as I close this. I've been getting some calls and some emails that I shouldn't get. And this is me because I guess I sound like I'm almost nice. And I want to be here to help and grow you as an official through your regional supervisor. But there's certain things. I had an official call me, and after 2 weeks, something happened in football and wanted to complain about something. Remember the protocol, talk to your regional supervisor. And if I'm not mistaken, most associations have a board. You have a grievance board. But if you call me, you're going to hear me say, "Hey, how you doing, Travis? What's up, buddy? Hey, you may not remember me. Oh, hey, what's up, Michael Stevens? Hey, what's up, buddy?" He said, "Yes, Cease. What's up?" I said, "What? Let me ask, what's going on?" He says, "I need to share something with you." I said, "Let me ask you one question. Have you spoken to your regional supervisor?" You say, "No." I say, "Okay, I'm gonna listen to you for a little bit, but then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a Elvis Presley, return to sender." So I'm not gonna be rude, but I said this the other day: if everyone has an issue, and I got 7,800, almost 8,000 officials, and I take those calls, I don't get a lot done that day. So I want to be user friendly. I will get out there to see people. I was in Jacksonville last week, some wrestling people, and it wasn't even their state clinic. So I was in Kannapolis another night. So I want to get out and see people because that's just who I am. But I want to say I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of angst going on with me, learning curve. I ask you to be patient with me, communicate with me if you need to. But I do want to tell you from my genuine heart, I appreciate you. You're getting ready to go out in the playing field, the mission field. You're going to have some good nights. You're going to have some great nights, and you're going to have some tough nights. And when you have that tough night, call your mentor, call your friend. You got 2 weeks left on the exam. Call a friend, work together, learn, be good listeners, novice officials. Be good listeners. Do not act like you know it, because I'm still learning. I was in there with 3 big time officials yesterday, and I was loving it, knowing that I could learn something for the time I was there. I want to say to you, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys, ladies, and I would say guys, I have to be gender proper now, but I hope you understand. I appreciate you officials, you regional supervisors that may have signed on. I appreciate my friend Melissa, who's on here taking roll, and I need her back in the office. I hope she hears me. And I want to say thank you so much. And to everyone, have a great season. Have a good night. Thank you all.